like, January 6th, what does that mean to you? And when I tell you that Courtney said, can you remind me of January 6th, like what happened? Hi guys, welcome back to Jasmine's Watch Party. My name is Jasmine, and today we're talking about episodes 2 and 3 of Married at First Sight season 20. Before we dive right into it, if you are also watching Married at First Sight or you just want to follow along, go ahead and click subscribe, drop a like, and let's get straight into the episode. So starting with episode 2, where we left off on episode 1 was Adam and Marissa seeing each other for the first time on their wedding day at the aisle/altar. And we were like, how in the world do they know each other? Turns out they met at a bar 2 years ago. That was so anticlimactic. I was seriously sitting there like, why did we leave this on a cliffhanger? If this is it, especially since they say it was only like a quick little interaction that lasted about a minute or less, and they never like went out or anything, I'm like, why did we leave it on that cliffhanger? That was so underwhelming to start the episode, I will say. But they go ahead, they get married. Afterwards, Marissa's saying how she loved his gift. I think she was just trying to be nice. You didn't love that gift, and you know you didn't. And especially when it came up to pickleball, she made a comment like, yeah, but now I love pickleball. Did you actually already love pickleball? Or like, where did that come from? And his family's not there, which he did bring up in the last episode, but he said his parents were out hiking, right? He said his parents were out hiking, they didn't want to come back. But this time he told Marissa that his dad was out hiking and his mom and aunt were in Budapest. Which one is it, Adam? Are your parents out hiking, or is your mom in Budapest? Huh? Because when you were talking in episode 1, you made it sound like both your mom and dad were out hiking. And now the story is different. I can't say I'm shocked though. This is totally in line with who I thought you were as a person. We then go over to Tori and Felipe's like wedding reception situation. Her sister gives a speech asking Felipe to take care of Tori. Nice one. But then Felipe's friend gets up there. Apparently they've been friends for 17 years. And he just gives this very long, unnecessary speech. Going through like some of their like little inside jokes, stories from Felipe's past. And I was like, this is kind of awkward, right? Like this is so awkward and just uncalled for. And then I sat there and I was like, you know what? But this is typical because a lot of men really do the most when they have to give like a best man speech. So I can't say I'm not surprised. Let's see. Felipe's sister gives a speech saying she didn't think this day would ever come. He laughs way harder than I felt like he needed to. He made it seem like that was the funniest joke he has ever heard in his entire life. But then she goes on to say that now Tori has to deal with Felipe's dancing and his laugh. And when she said that, I was like, I understand the thing about the laugh because that was a lot. It was a lot. But they seem like they're getting on so well. And I really hope the best for them. I hope that it continues. We then go to Belle Jolie and Mecca's reception. And Mecca's dad, I don't know. He weirds me out a little bit. I'm not going to lie. He was sitting there talking to Belle and was asking her about rating Mecca. And she was like, a 9, and I don't know. He just had all these very weird, in my opinion, personal and invasive questions for her. But then we see Mecca talking to his friends and he's still in his head about the stupid kiss. Like, what'd you guys think about what happened up there at the altar? What'd you think about that kiss? And his friend had to tell him, I think it was appropriate considering you guys just met each other. Like, Mecca, it's okay. Your dad got in your head, but truly it is okay. So now we're finally moving over to the couples for this episode who are going to be getting married, starting with Nick and Courteney. I'm not even going to hold you. At a certain point in us meeting them, I was mind blown. You may have seen the short because I had to pause the show. I was like, I need to speak with the casting directors because what do you mean? We're about to get to it. So she did bodybuilding like her parents. She wants someone who plays a sport. Cool. Nick played lacrosse. He went to MIT. They were like, oh, what a perfect match. What a perfect match. She then starts talking about what she wants out of a partner. And she was like, they need to celebrate Christmas. They need to drink. I'm like, did you date a Jehovah's Witness before? Because the things that you're like listing so specifically, it feels like you dated a Jehovah's Witness. That's what it feels like to me. This is where I was like, oh my God. So they're like, what about like politically? Like, what are you looking for? She says, I want someone conservative, but I believe in a woman's right to choose. But I just don't understand how someone can't think conservatively about from an economic standpoint. I'm not even gonna get on that point. I'm gonna let that part go. Um, I'm not, yeah, I'm gonna let that part go. But we then go to Nick, and he's like, I would say right now I lean more conservative, but I do have some liberal views. And the producer's like, oh, okay, can you give me an example of like a conservative view you have and a liberal view? And it is silence. And I'm like, okay, so you just have no views. You have no views. Because you can't name a single one for either one? Like, okay. Or you just have problematic views. I'm not really sure. So, this is oh my God. Dr. Paul's talking to Courtney and he's like, okay, I need to know how far conservative you're trying to lean. And he was like, so he's thinking. He's like, January 6th, what does that mean to you? And when I tell you that Courtney said, can you remind me of January 6th? Like what happened? Dr. Paul's face was probably my face also. Because what do you mean? And he handled that so well. And he just said, okay, that's very helpful. That's very helpful. I bet that was very helpful. He knew to lean all the way to the right. He said, oh, okay. So we're going as far as we possibly can. Got it. Got it. And I'm just like, girl, I cannot believe you said that. I can't believe you said that. Because maybe some people really did forget what happened January 6th. I don't know that I personally will ever forget. Like, I still remember walking into the house, like coming home from work in the middle of the day because I had like morning shift or whatever, and having the TV on because my parents were watching like the news. And I was like, oh, what movie are you watching? And they were like, this is not a movie. This is not a movie. And I will never forget that. And I just cannot believe, I just can't believe that she admitted that she like has no idea what happened on January 6th. Anyway, she reveals that she's been cheated on in the past. Nick talks about his history with the reality TV shows. He says he's here for the right reasons. I don't know. He was like, I don't have an agent. I don't have a manager. I still work a regular 9 to 5 tech job. But maybe you want an agent. Maybe you want a manager. Maybe you want to like leave your 9 to 5 tech job. I'm not sure. And that's not convincing for me. It's convincing for the experts though. They're like, oh, he makes good money. He comes from a good family. Okay. You have a match, you know? Their wedding day comes and goes. They kiss on the lips, whatever. They both work in tech. Whatever. She was not bothered by his relationship. Actually, no. She was not bothered by his reality TV stuff. I have a bone to pick with it though. Because after they get like married, he's like, but I do need to tell you something. It wasn't a dating show, but I was on a reality TV show. Why are you lying, Nick? Why are you lying? Because in this same episode, you're reviewing your reality TV history and you say, I was on The Circle and I was on Perfect Match. What is Perfect Match exactly, sir? Is that not a dating reality show? And why did you also tell her that you were only on one reality show? Hmm? Hmm? Okay. Okay. I don't trust you. You could be nice as all get out. I don't trust you. Something's weird. We go to Michelle and Cameron. I have my opinions. They're good opinions though this time. And she froze some of her eggs when she was 26 due to having fibroids, which I thought was like really sad, but also really responsible on her end to like go ahead and just take that step so that she could set herself up in the future since she really wants to be a mother. He is a basketball coach for a community college. Okay. He's never been in a long-term relationship, which I do think is a little bit weird. She also thinks it's a little bit weird when he reveals it to her, and she's like a bit concerned about it, rightfully so. I just feel like at a certain point, even if you are picky and you're dating intentionally, you would have still been in a long-term relationship in your adult age past 6 months. But maybe that's inaccurate. Maybe that's like a very boomer thought of mine. I'm not sure. Her dad is camera shy, so he just wrote her a letter. I understand. Like, he didn't sign up for this. Even though at the reception, they still show him on the camera. And I was like, if you don't stop, he clearly did not want to be on TV. So don't show him. Be respectful. Please. They immediately compliment each other at the altar. Whatever. They kiss. They have a great time. Marissa and Adam were back with them at their reception. Her friend or sister, I lost track, gave a speech about Marissa. And it did reference like she likes to arm wrestle guys at bars, whatever. It wasn't even that crazy of a speech. It was nothing like, oh my God, she likes to get blackout drunk. There was nothing of the sort. And he just looked so unimpressed and so just like, oh, this is going to be a problem. Like, he just had a look on his face that I was just like, if you do not take that look off your face, I will slap it off your face. But then again, his face just makes me so mad. And again, they're like, Adam, come tickle the ivories. Marissa was like, what the heck does that mean? And he's like, oh, I play piano. He gets up there. We all think he's just going to play one little song. He finishes the song. Everybody's clapping. Everybody enjoyed that one song because one song is enough. And he's like, I'll play a little Chopin. And he plays another long, slow song. Her friends were just giggling because they were like, this is so awkward. Rightfully so. I was sitting them like at home being like, this is so awkward. And what a downer. People were like dozing off, yawning. Dude, read the room. But he can't read the room because he has such an inflated ego of himself that he believes that he is doing everybody like, what's the word I'm looking for here? He feels like he's doing everybody like a favor. He's giving them this gift. He's blessing them with his talent of playing piano. I don't like Adam. I want him off my screen forever. We meet Shawn and Nikki. They are both like high earners in their fields, both very well educated, whatever. He said that he was married to his career. He's 46 years old. And I do think he's here for the right reasons. But at the same time, I started to understand why you're single. Because he was a preacher's kid. Or is a preacher's kid, I guess you would say. So obviously growing up, like he was told, stay away from everything sexual and all the X, Y, and Z that follows with like being raised very Christian. And I do think in a way it has stunted him where like now I feel like he's trying to like play catch up or experience what he feels like he couldn't have experienced growing up because of his upbringing and being a preacher's kid. I hope that makes sense. But he has like very childish sexual energy of someone who like has been deprived, I guess you would say. I don't know. I feel so bad for Nikki though, because granted, she did kind of do this to herself if I really think about it. But she's like, I want someone over 6 feet, but I'm fine if they're not over 6 feet. And I want someone who makes at least $250,000, but I'm fine if they only make $200,000. She kept like having these things that she wanted and then lowering her standard. And it's like, Nikki, if you want what you want, hold firm. Hold firm. They're supposed to be trying to find you someone. You're not supposed to try and conform to like what they might have. You and even Dr. Paul, when she was like, I want somebody who makes 250, and he was like, okay, do you know what like the median salary is in America right now? And he was like, I'm not trying to get you to change, but I am just trying to understand. And so then she like backtracks and she's like, okay, well, I'd be fine with somebody who makes 200,000. And it's like, no, Nikki, if you want someone who makes 250 to 350 or whatever, you need to hold firm to that. Stop lowering your standards. That is exactly how you got in the situation that you are now in. Because when she walked up there to get married and he turned around and saw her, he thought she was beautiful. When I tell you this girl did everything she could to avoid looking at him, avoid eye contact, all of the above, that was the most awkward interaction I have seen in a hot little minute. I was just like, does he realize that she's refusing to look at him? Like, does he realize that? And even later in the night, when they are having their first like night together in the hotel room, he just is, I don't know. He's like making like these sexual jokes, like about the air conditioner temperature. He's like, what should I turn it to? And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, I'll turn it to 69. I wonder if we'll be doing 69. Why would you say that? You have never met her.
Will you shut up?
And like they even did a garter toss at the reception, which honestly I thought garter tosses were like done. And he was like, I'm gonna bite it. And it's like, what is wrong with you? And I really think that he just is a little bit stunted in that like aspect of his life because of his upbringing. Anyway, I feel bad for her, but at the same time, she kind of did this to herself. Michelle and Cameron, we get a little clip of their reception. His friends are just trying to like hype him up to her. I don't think they really needed to though. She seemed like she was into him enough. So I don't know. I guess they were just trying to be good friends. Belle and Mecca, we see their reception speeches from his dad and her mom. And his dad really rubs me the wrong way. I also think that he has an issue reading the room, reading the setting, and I think that he likes to be the center of attention. Because why on your son's wedding day, to a woman he's never met, are you like dragging him? You're like, oh, he wanted to be a boxer. He wanted to be a basketball player. He wanted to do all these things. And then he changed his mind. He changed his mind. He changed his mind. And it's like, as a woman, when I was watching this and I was like trying to put myself in Belle's position, I'm like, okay, if the guy I just decided I was going to marry has decided he wanted to do all these things and didn't stick with them, that does not bode well for our relationship. And maybe that's a jump on my part, but that is truly like where my mindset was. I was just like, if he quits often, which you're painting a picture in which it sounds like he quits things very often, then it feels like he might quit this. And that's not what I'm looking for. And then he talks about how he tried out for the boys basketball team. He didn't make it, but he did make the women's practice team. And it's like, why would you say that? That might be a fun story for you guys to say over dinner a month or so down the line. But at his wedding reception, I didn't like it. I didn't like it personally. And I kind of feel bad for Mecca. I feel like that is part of the reason why he has this like goofy, laughy personality, is because if you have a dad like that who's always dragging you and trying to read you, you have to have a personality that you're just going to laugh it off. Otherwise, it's going to be a blow to you every single time because his dad misses no opportunities to take shots at him, clearly. At Courtney and Nick's wedding reception, we see Courtney talking to her friends. They are letting her know that they have seen him on TV. And they're like, he's been on multiple reality shows. Like, multiple. And that gets in Courtney's head. And now she's starting to question things and doubt. And she's like, I just don't know if he's here for the right reasons. Girl, I don't know if he's here for the right reasons either. I don't know. I kind of don't believe it. I know his friends are saying that he is and he doesn't care about the cameras. If that is the case, then why are you here? Why didn't you just find like your own matchmaking service, get on dating apps or whatever? And he's like, it's hard for me to date because I'm not sure if people just want to like go out with me to say that they did since I've been on reality TV. You're not that famous, bro. You're really not that famous. I don't think about you ever. The only time I even recognize you is simply because you were on this show. And I was like, I've seen you before. Like, I don't know, Nick. It ain't looking good for me right now. It's just really not. I just don't think that Nikki is into Shawn, but the next episode 3, they do jump the broom, get fully hitched. Congrats to them, I suppose. Good luck. Caitlin and Devin, we meet in episode 3. And to be honest with you, I thought that Nikki and Shawn were the last couple. I was so shocked when they were like, Caitlin and Devin. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean there's still one more couple to go? We have such a large cast, I feel like. Maybe not. Anyway, Devin is a professional rugby player, but he says that he's like a really big teddy bear on the inside. Caitlin is what is she? She's a social media marketing manager. She does spin classes, and I think she's also like a makeup artist or something like that. She has a lot of things on her plate and going for her. Physically, though, they are what each other wanted. He wanted someone like a Sydney Sweeney type who has like that girl next door face. She wanted a guy who was similar to, I think she said Nick Bosa, who I think she said was like a defensive lineman for the 49ers. I don't follow sports. I don't really know. But they did, thank you, Married at First Sight, put up pictures of who each of them were talking about, and they are getting what they are asking for. Her dad, on the other hand, I take issue with him. I really, really do. So he says that he's very traditional. Caitlin reveals that he's not going to be walking her down the aisle to give her away, but he will be at the wedding, which I'm like, you better be there. But again, how come you couldn't put your own feelings aside to just walk her down? This is her day. Just do it. Just suck it up and do it. Like, you're never going to get this moment back. If my dad didn't support like me getting married at first sight, which he honestly probably wouldn't, he would still walk me down if that's what I wanted. He just would. He would put his feelings aside for my sake. And so that I could have a great day. And so I could have that memory. So I could have those pictures. And her dad just isn't doing that. And I just take issue with that personally. So Nick comes down. His side is so rowdy. They're like, hoo, 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 hoo. You know, they're sports people. I honestly kind of love that energy. I really do. And her dad is just there complaining. I don't support this. Da, 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 da. Like, shut up. Like, we understand that. You're not walking her down. So, yeah, we get that. Shut up. Caitlin walks down completely by herself. No one is walking her down. But she looks beautiful. She is confident. She gets up there, and they're instantly like instinct. They are just vibing, riffing off of each other. And I'm like, oh, this might be a really good match. Potentially could be a really good match. Her dad then stands up in the middle of the ceremony. And I'm like, what is with the dads interrupting these moments? Like, at this point, I did wonder. I was like, are they being prompted to say something and yet it's being cut out of the show? Because surely you're not taking it upon yourself to just stand up in the middle of the ceremony and say something. But he says that, you know, he thinks this is crazy, but he's going to trust her. Okay, but you couldn't have trusted her before now so that you could walk her down? Like you couldn't do that then? Okay, whatever. They get married. Congrats to them. At their reception, they have a very lively dance floor. I did make note of who had lively dance floors because some of these dance floors were empty. But Belle and Mecca, they needed a bigger dance floor. Shawn and Nikki, also very lively dance floor, which I mean, at this point, I was like, is it just the black people? Like, are we the only ones dancing? But then we get to Caitlin and Devin, and they also had a very lively dance floor. And I was like, I think it must be because y'all are younger, which thank God that y'all are out here dancing. Like, have fun, please. At their reception, though, her dad then takes the mic again. And he's like, you know, to be honest, I wasn't going to come. 5 days ago, I was not going to come to this wedding. And I'm like, why would you say that? Like, that is such a mood killer. And he's like, but I'm so glad that I did. And some extra stuff that he was saying, which I'm like, you know, that's really nice that Devin and his family and friends have won you over to this point. I just wish, again, that you would have just gotten over your issue and walked her down the aisle. Like, that's all I wanted. I just wish that you would have gotten over it and done that for her. I did make a note, though. She had the prettiest florals out of all the weddings. Oh my God, I loved her florals. They were so vibrant and so full and just, they were stunning, stunning florals. As everybody's leaving and dancing and whatever, I did make note that Michelle and Cameron, holy height difference, because I didn't realize like what the height difference was when they were at the altar, I guess. When they were leaving, I was like, oh my God. And when they were trying to do their first dance, it was just like, how are you even supposed to hold each other? You guys are like, what, a foot and a half difference in height? Crazy. Nikki and Shawn, again, Shawn is just, I think, stunted sexually. He's talking to like his pastor or a pastor friend and is asking like, what he should do for tonight and as far as like the physical goes. And his pastor friend is like, well, it's going to be worth the wait. And at the same time, we have Belle talking to her friends and she's like, ain't nothing happening tonight. I want to be friends first. And it's just like, he hears his pastor friend say that and he's like, okay, yeah. But then he still keeps going down the path of like almost trying to convince his pastor friend that he should change his mind, because he was like, well, what if I put on a Speedo and I like walk out? And he was like, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, just trust me on this. Don't do that. And I feel like Shawn is going to be very annoying, especially for Nikki. I think that he's going to be too goofy, too unserious, and too, I don't know if I would say emotionally immature, maybe sexually immature, but potentially emotionally immature. I'm not exactly sure what the phrasing I'm looking for is, but there's definitely a level of immaturity with him that I would not expect for someone at his age. Overall, though, I'm just glad the weddings are over. I just feel like when it comes to Married at First Sight, you have to get through all the weddings before the show really starts. Granted, Adam is just like, he's giving a lot. He's giving a lot. So we've gotten a lot of content from him so far, but I am ready for everyone to kind of start developing more stories and to see how things really unfold. But anyway, that is the end of episode 2 and 3. I am so ready to finally get into like the meat of this season. I think all the couples visually together are stunning. I think that a lot of them are incompatible, but I think that visually they are stunning. I hope to see you here next Friday for Married at First Sight episode 4 and 5. I hope to see you here tomorrow for The Ultimatum, either episode 2 or episodes 3 and 4. It's still to be determined. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!